right, are we good to go? Perfect. All right, good evening, everyone. We are so happy to see you this kind of California cold evening. My name is Poppy Hill-Bonales. I'm the proud principal here at Kennedy High School. We are so excited that you have been invited to join us for our Kennedy Institute of Technology and Engineering. We are excited to be on the forefront of artificial intelligence. So many of you have already experienced that artificial intelligence is changing our world, and it's changing so excited that these students are on the forefront of that rapidly changing world. So these students that you're going to hear from tonight, this program that you're going to experience tonight is cutting edge, it is innovative, and we are so excited to have you here and consider the opportunity of joining our KITE program. Without any further ado, I am going to kick it over to our incredible lead teacher of the program, our coordinator, Mr. Jack Gupton.
All right, thank you. Am I going to cause any problems if I walk around with this, Mr. Corcoran? Okay, excellent. So good evening, welcome. We're thrilled you guys could be here. As Ms. Hill-Bonales said, my name is Mr. Gupton. I'm one of the teachers in the pathway, and I have the privilege of being the coordinator for the pathway. So a lot of the emails that you'll receive will come from me. So I apologize. I am not AI, so I make mistakes and make spelling errors. So Mr. Hoff, if we can kick things off, we'll just kind of talk through our plans for this evening. We'll talk about what the typical student profile is of somebody who joins us here in the KITE program. We'll look at the program as an overview, see what that looks like, talk through the different sequences because we have several sequences to offer our students, and I think we have a lot of folks here from the junior high. Those of you who've already started in Engineering 1 actually can experience quite a few of those, so we'll explain kind of how that works. Intended outcomes, and then for me the most important part far and away is our student speakers this evening. These are kids who have been with us in different capacities in this program, some of them since the 7th grade. So for some reason, they keep coming back. But we love them, and we're thrilled they could be here for us this evening to speak on our behalf. So Mr. Hoff, if we can jump in. So when we originally created this program, it was really just one area. It came from the Walker STEAM program across the street that many of you are currently in. That started about 12 years ago. And it's kind of that middle lane, that persona 2. It's a student who tends to infuse technology into their projects and use digital means of fabrication. That means things like 3D printing and laser cutting. So do we have kids out here that are in Mr. Tagahara's class right now? You guys are doing some 3D printing and laser cutting, yes? Okay, so that's kind of where we began. And so that program grew and grew. And we were bursting at the seams at Walker, and then we started doing it here as well and began to expand upon that. So that's the core, that's the original program. At the same time as we began to expand here at Kennedy, there was a demand for computer science, and that Persona 3 lane opened up. And these are kids who are more, they spend more of their time in the more digital side of things. Too fast or too loud? I'm walking to, I'm wearing out my cameraman, I'm sorry. I'm kidding. I'm just obnoxious. So our digital learners, they have a tendency to want to spend more of their time creating in a computer environment. Interestingly enough, both myself and several of my fellow teachers in this pathway have come from another part of teaching, which is our more traditional industrial arts side. And one of the things that we saw is a lot of those kids really jumped into that middle lane. But we also had kids who also really enjoyed doing things that were hands-on. And so in about, I think it was 2 years ago, roughly, and I can't see Mr. Hoff if he's nodding, but about 2 years ago, we added back a more traditional side to that, which is our Persona 1. Folks who are really interested in creating and building with our hands using more traditional techniques. Not that we're not in a digital environment still, but giving them more of those hand-type skills as well. So Mr. Hoff, if you could move us into that next so this kind of builds upon that a little bit. So I'll start at the top with that last lane that I described. The fabrication lane is emphasizing hand and machine built, or based tools rather, and techniques. We do get into computer-aided drafting and some of those computer-driven machines, but it's to a less extent than we would in, say, that middle lane in engineering, where we are going to spend more time on the digital. In that center lane, it's much more engineering focused. We are looking at things through a different lens slightly. We are coding, we are wiring. So again, a lot of what our students at Walker have already experienced is the beginnings of this portion of our pathway. And then finally, again, the computer science side moves those kids that started with us in engineering and have an aptitude or a desire or a drive to get into the computer science in a deeper fashion. We have that opportunity for them that starts off, you know, in a beginner friendly type of an environment and takes them all the way through end layer design, full stack development, developing skills that quite frankly can get them jobs right out of high school. And I don't know if our kids will talk about that, but if they don't, we can share a little bit about that in a little bit. Go ahead, Mr. Hoff, if you would. So speaking of the course progressions, Mr. Hoff, do you want to tackle that one? I think there's a mic behind you if you want to. Perfect, thank you. And then typically, if somebody were to start off in that part of our program, they would progress from there, most likely into Engineering 1, kind of similar to our students here this evening that are in Engineering 1 at Walker. Go ahead and roll us into that middle one now. I'm going to move forward just because I know we got started a little bit late, and we'll get to this again. So our students tonight that are at Walker already have already experienced C++ programming. They've experienced Onshape, CAD design. Both of those are industry skills. C++ is one of the most foundational languages that there are, and they've already begun doing it in 8th grade. Some of them perhaps in 7th grade if they had Takahara as well in the semester class. You guys know this. You've built robots. Presumably these robots drive themselves. You made an app to control them, and you wired all of that yourselves. For those of you who are not already in the program or are maybe coming from other schools, I want to be clear. The robots that these kids have made and that some of these kids have made are from scratch. They're designed in here using the skills that they develop in this program. They use parts that we get as cheaply as we possibly can. They are not designed by an engineer to just go together in a kit. We get this part and that part and that part in entirely different places a lot of times, and wires, and the microcontrollers, and they figure out how that gets wired together and programmed and assembled into something that functions. So if you've seen those, and if you've seen the 8th graders in this room, it's incredibly impressive what they've done. If you guys are out there, pat yourselves on the back. I'm proud of you. I was there on Saturday at the Walker Expo, and I was very impressed with what you guys did. But it's a very legitimate, authentic experience. It's, again, not something that somebody bought and had a set of instructions on how to put it together. They figured that out. Engineering 2 builds upon that. We go deeper into the coding and further into the CAD design. And we expand on what they did in the robotics. And it's always interesting to me. The Engineering 2 kids will start, and I can actually see their heads starting to smoke because we're taking them in this like crazy direction coding-wise. But what I love about it is after a month or two, they're like, okay, this is cool. All right, I'm down now. Where at first, there's literally smoke coming out of their ears. So we push them even harder in Engineering 2 and look to get into more advanced topics, including flight. Typically speaking, after Engineering 2, we look to move those students into our computer science pathway. That would be something in our Computer Science 1 offering, which typically would be AP Computer Science. I've had freshmen take that class very successfully. Usually AP classes are not offered before sophomore year, I believe, but AP Computer Science A, which is, in my opinion, the most difficult AP Computer Science class, can be offered to freshmen, and they've done terrifically thus far. Mr. Hoff, can you pop through? I just want to double check. I want to make sure we didn't miss anything in that Engineering 2 section. I just want to touch on the last 2 points here. Product innovation, and it's all hands-on. And by all hands-on, I mean this is or project-based learning entirely. They are building these things entirely themselves, and they are innovating. Thank you. Go ahead and move into that computer science lane. So Computer Science 1 has a variety of different entry points. So if your student is somebody who's really wired, they want to be in AP, and I would encourage everybody to. We have obviously AP Computer Science A. It's a Java class. There's also Introduction to Computer Science, and that works at a much different pace and allows people to kind of get their, I guess, feet wet a little bit and kind of progress at a little slower pace to make sure that they're comfortable. There's also the IB offerings. How many of you came to the IB meeting? It was a couple weeks ago? You were here? Yes. A couple weeks ago? Anybody? Okay, a couple. So IB is another offering here at Kennedy, and it's exclusive, like this pathway, it's exclusive to Kennedy High School. And there's not very many schools around that offer IB, and certainly there's not very many that offer IB in a technology pathway like we have that function together. So we have designed it such that students who want to be in IB can be, and they can take the computer science portion of our pathway and satisfy their IB requirements as well. So that's one of the options for Computer Science 1, and I should say one, there's like 4 of them. After that, Computer Science 2 gets into the application development area. It could be through the second year of IB, or it could be the direct App Dev class. This again is that full stack and layer design class where they are building industry style applications and learning skills that we've seen students be hired directly out of high school doing doing software development. Others going directly into aerospace programs where they are dominating their peers, and I'll tell that story later perhaps. New for this year is a 5th year offering, if you will, for the program. So students who have completed 2 of our pathway lanes, such as computer science and engineering, can go into this new Fusion class, which is a passion project-oriented type of a class where they work largely independently and build on the skills they've developed in engineering and in computer science to make incredibly amazing projects. And I suspect we'll hear a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. So, anybody here in software development? Other than these guys and me? I'm not going to read this to you, then it's just going to bore you. But if you were, some of these things would be like, really? That's rad. Okay, let's go ahead and move on, Mr. Hoff. I think we're about to the best part of this. Okay, last bit for me, and I think we're going to turn it over to the kids. Intended outcomes. So obviously when we design this pathway, we have outcomes that we want to see for our students. So I'll start with fabrication. These are kids who should be able to operate equipment and maintain it. There's different people that are interested in different things, and these are the kids that are going to be running a lot of the equipment in the future. On all of these, you should see project portfolio. We believe firmly that the best way to demonstrate what you know is to show it. We don't spend a lot of time on tests. We spend a lot of time building things, and employers recognize that, because you can do great on tests and not be a great employee, but if you can show what you can make, well, then we know that you can do the job. In our engineering pathway, there is Onshape certification. Onshape is one of the big up-and-comers in the online CAD marketplace. They offer terrific tooling that works in a lot of different areas of engineering. We have a pathway through engineering 1 and 2 to certification. That's an industry certification that can get you a job. So that's something offered. They will learn how to code. They'll understand principles of mechanical, electrical engineering and have experience in it. And once again, a project portfolio that they can speak to down the road, whether it be in a college application. Anybody here done those? All of them. They've been suffering, waiting to hear. But all of these guys are getting ready for college. So those portfolios can come in handy, especially when you're writing essays to go back to and talk to what you've done. Computer science, AP, IB, dual enrollment credit. So we do have dual enrollment, which I recognize I'm going to talk about in just a second. Dual enrollment is the opportunity for students to take college classes while here at Kennedy, and those classes are free. And those classes count towards a college degree. I have 2 in college right now, and it's expensive. And another one that's going to graduate this year, so alms for the poor. I'm kidding, but you get what I'm saying. If you can get classes taken care of now for free, I would encourage you to do so. They learn Java, C#, SQL, HTML, CSS. I'm sure I can keep rattling on a lot of acronyms, but there's a lot that they learn in those classes. Full stack development, and again, a project portfolio. Finally, Fusion builds on engineering computer science outcomes, enhanced project portfolio, and we shoot for work experience. And I think several of these kids probably can speak to that as well. All right, Mr. Hoff, can you roll us through? Talked about dual enrollment. It's typically through Cypress College, but I saw today that we're also offering Fullerton College, potentially. Yes? You guys saw that too? Okay. Okay, awesome. So a lot of different options for them to be taking college classes while they're here with us. We've had a lot of kids get internships here through the AIM partnership. Those kids will be in classes. Alex, you did one, right? Yep, did anybody else get one? You did 2 of them, okay. Sweet. So they can not only earn real world experience, but they can also earn a little money. Students, kids, you like to earn money? How many of us? Yes. A couple of us, yes. All right, me too. How many of you are familiar with the Anaheim Pledge? Couple. So the Anaheim Pledge is something that's set up between our local community colleges, Cal State Fullerton, and UCI. And it is a way to help students coming through Anaheim get into those schools. And I think there's more to it. I'll show you in just a second. But it's a terrific path for our kids to save a lot of money and get into some pretty outstanding schools. And some of the statistics are staggering. I think, Mr. Hoff, if you'll move to the next slide, I think, yes. Oh, everybody can read that, right? No. Let me go closer. Since setting this up, more than a 40% increase in the number of AUHSD graduates admitted to UC Irvine. Fantastic school. 94% of AUHSD students have persisted at UC Irvine as compared to 90% of the overall student population. That's a staggering number in my opinion. We're a very broad district, and that's impressive. I won't torture you with this any longer. I just want you to know that it's there. There's a lot that's offered here, including, as I mentioned, IB. How many of you are also in IB? No. So 5 out of the 6 of you, and you're kind of ish, right? Okay. So our IB program is outstanding. Our students see a lot of success through it and in the schools that they get into. I didn't know this until a couple years ago, but if you get through IB, you start college as a sophomore? Yeah, you get sophomore status. Sophomore status. How many of you remember the days of waiting in line to register for classes before we did it on the internet or even the phone? You want higher status, trust me. It makes a big difference. Did I just date myself? Yeah, okay. All right, so now for the most important part of our evening, these are some of our students. And so they're gonna talk to you a little bit about their own experience here, and we'd like you to ask them questions. Last year we did this in my classroom. It was this wonderful, intimate environment. It was terrific. This year we expected a whole lot of people, so we're in a stressful environment for them, but they like to be asked questions. So we have extra mics, we'll run them around. If you let them get through their initial, so when CL starts here, when she begins, when she's done, we'll pause and see if there's any questions for her. We'll go through each student, and at the end, if you have any further questions for the kids, we'll absolutely make time for that. So, are you ready? Yeah. Okay, here you go. Here's right. CL.
Hi, okay, I know it says Chelsea May Nanyaska, but most people just call me CL. But hi, my name is Chelsea May Nanyaska, or CL, and I've been a part of the KITE program since the 7th grade. I currently, even though, since I'm a 12th grader, I don't know if you guys did the math, but even though my original KITE experience was like a little bit impacted by COVID, but I think ultimately the KITE program did provide me one thing. And I think like the one thing that I think is most important in the KITE program is the ability to experience hands-on learning. And I feel that it's something Because for me, as a student, right, like when you're a student, like I feel that a lot of the courses offered are typically based on like paper learning. But the thing with the KITE program is that you're able to like build things from scratch and make something of your own. And I feel that that's like the biggest merit that I got from the KITE program. Even in 8th grade, even in like 7th and 8th grade, where honestly, like where half of it was online and half of it I spent on Roblox, I do think that the KITE program did offer the KITE. I think that like I do remember fondly spending a lot of my time, like my own time and time in class, building things through Arduino. Like even online, like I built like one of the things I remember was I built this like little like thing online where it like anytime you like move in front of it, it starts making an annoying beeping sound because I was a middle schooler and I thought that was funny. And but what matters is that I got to learn how to build things, and I got to learn how to build projects on my own, and I think it's really valuable. But back to what I do. In 9th grade, in between the years of like in between the end of my 9th grade year and the beginning of my 10th grade year, I decided I felt like a new interest, like of course, computer science and AI are becoming increasingly important in our day-to-day lives as a lot of people rely more and more on AI. And such, as a 9th grader, I enrolled in, my counselor recommended that I enroll in the AI summer camp, which actually brought me back into even though it's not technically part of the KITE program, it's what brought me back into that love of creation, in which I was able to work with, see, this is how old it is. It's from GPT-2, but it was like one of the earlier transformers that basically we used a bunch of public data sets to create a project that would help make stories to inspire writers to create something. And ultimately, it was that interest in creating things that made me go back into IB computer science. And it was just like learning about I think the one thing that drew me to IB specifically is just the ability to learn things that will help me in a career path. And specifically in a career where I can like just build stuff. And of course, I can't really talk about myself without talking about the one thing that I spend way too much of my time on, which is band. As a student, I've been involved. I've been a flute player since 7th grade, and I've been playing. I spend a lot of my time not only practicing, but I also volunteer regularly. I've volunteered here a lot. I volunteer at the band festivals. I volunteered to help clean up the band room, and eventually ended up becoming assistant section leader, and now I'm currently the main section leader of the flute section. But the thing is, ultimately, what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring back, as a student, one of the things I value the most is my community. And since I've been in band for so long, one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to build a project that would help the band community. And so I created the best thing about the IB program for me is that I felt like my project could actually help people. And that I built a project to basically, at the time of building this project, we have this thing called the band website, which admittedly is not the best in that it had like, what I was trying to do is I wanted to make a way so that parents, students, and staff can easily find information, and also create a website that would make it easier for all people to access. And so I created my IB computer science project based off of that. And the thing is, I've said that 20 times, but this project not only gave me experience with this project, of course, since it's a computer science project, of course I learned the typical things, like I learned Java, I learned how to work with HTML, I learned how to work with CSS to build an interface, but I also learned some industry skills such as SQL, which is a database language, which is a language used to work with databases which is still the basis for many websites and many programs that are used today. But But the one thing I wanted to point out is the biggest thing that I got from this project is actually the communication and the soft skills portion of that. Because in this project, right, since I'm making something that's going to impact so many people, that's going to be used by like all the band, and by all the band members, all the color guard, all the staff, all the parents, since it's something that'll impact all those people, it was important. One of the things I had to do is I had to work extensively with these students, in that I had to learn how to work from a business standpoint. In that I talked to every day I would have to, or not every day, but a lot of the times I would have to meet up with people like Dr. Parsons, who's the current band director. I had to talk to Mr. Berrigan, who is the assistant band director. Then I had to meet up with a lot of the student leadership, staff, and I had to interview many students just so that I could get that, like, the holistic view of how this project would help people. And ultimately, the thing is, this project, the IB Computer Science HL project, is like an 18-month-long project, because in which you have to continuously keep building and building on this project for like months. And this project brought me these skills, these soft skills, the skills that I got from this project, the Java, the SQL, HTML, the project planning. All of those things have made me like a better student and a better student overall, in that they've made me a better student, and ultimately they've made me like I think the communication portion and the project planning have all made me a better student and a better leader as well. In that,
I'm asking if we could just wrap up for just a second. You did a fantastic job.
yeah.
One of the things I asked them to talk about, especially the kids who are in IB, sorry, Mr.
Yeah,
Corcoran needs me to speak into the microphone. One of the things I asked the kids to think about, because I heard this a lot last year from parents, was, can you do it? Can you balance all of the demands of high school, be in this program, be in IB, be in other extracurriculars? And Ciel's done, I think, a fantastic job of talking about how she's in IB, she's in the KITE program, and she's managed to become section leader of the flute section, right? And been in band this whole time. So this is a shining example of somebody who's managed to do all of those things and done a great job at it. So I want to thank you. That's fantastic. She's also the president of the Technology Student Association, and you're thinking of majoring in biotech? Awesome. So just because I know we're going to need to get to a couple other folks, I don't want to cut her off, but are there questions that anybody wants to ask right now for Ciel before we segue to our next student? You're more than welcome to sit on those, and we can talk about them at the end as well, okay? All right. If we could give her a round of applause. I know these guys are nervous. Awesome. We'll turn it over to our next speaker, Omar. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, so hi guys, my name is Omar Salam. I'm that handsome man right there. Before I start, I just want to ask anyone, is anyone here not from Walker? Raise your hand. You're not from Walker? So I was just like you. I actually came from Lexington because of this program, right? So I came to Kennedy because I wanted to go into comp sci. My older brother went into comp sci. I saw him as, become successful. So I'm like, hey, why not, So I'm here because of comp sci. I've been in the KITE program since 11th grade because of the IB program. But, I was helping the students like in engineering, making their robots and helping them fix their robots at SEMApalooza. You guys know what SEMApalooza is, I'm assuming? Yeah? Great. So I'm currently in the IB Comp Sci HL2 course, which is the 2-year IB Comp Sci course, and app development. So I have him 2 days in 2 times a day. It's a blessing and a curse, but yeah. I'm also, so the KITE program held, along with AIM, the AI Promptathon, which was we used ChatGPT and had a tournament in a way to see who can prompt the best. I was a quarterfinalist, so perks to that, I guess, yeah. Let's see, I'm also an NHS Community Service Chair, NHS standing for National Honor Society, and I'm a member of a bunch of different clubs. And I do stuff outside of school like soccer, calisthenics, rock climbing. I draw and paint. I also prompt in AI just for fun to see where it can go. I'm also a playwright, screenwriter, storyteller, specifically D&D. My twin is back there. Yeah, I'm also a twin, unfortunately. The colleges I applied to, so, you know, the typical UCR, UCLA, UCI, UCSD, and then the Cal States. Fortunately, I got into Cal State Fullerton, still waiting on Pomona. Thank you, Mr. Corcoran. And I just want to say that KITE has helped me so much through the PIQs, especially for the UCs. So the first PIQ, you know, I didn't really talk about KITE program that much because it was just like, oh, what do you do? How, like, you know, you're in clubs, talk about yourself, right? But,
Can you explain what a PIQ is?
oh, yeah, so I forgot you guys are still in like 7th, 8th grade. A PIQ is a personal insight question. Basically, it's like a 350-word blurb that tells the colleges about you, and you have to answer a specific prompt. So for the PIQ 2, 3, and 4, I talked about KITE like the entire time. Like every single word on that PIQ was about my IB Comp Sci class and what I've done. PIQ 2 was how I expressed my creativity. I talked about my IA. You heard a bit about CL's IA. I'm gonna talk about mine, just a short version. Raise your hand if you are you have trouble remembering just the smallest tasks, like at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, entire room. Please raise your hand up, because I know every single one of you do it. I do it myself too. So my IA is a reminder system. Basically, what it does is it'll have the user input a task and say, I want to be told at this time that the task is due, right? So it kind of reminds you. And then I have it so it pushes Windows notifications out every hour or so telling you, hey, you still got that reminder to do, you should probably do it, you know? So that's a really big and like important part. I did it because I have family members. He's back there, one of them, but then I also have others that struggle remembering the tasks. And also just for like a studying session, because like I need to remember to do homework, obviously, especially with the IB program. Let's see, in app dev, it's taught me how to make games. So Mr. Gupton talked about app dev. It's an app development course where you're making programs, you're making any like workforce ready applications that look good on resumes. I'm currently making a game, and it's helped me make another game on the side, especially tied in with my playwright, screenwriter, storyteller type, you know, spiel or whatever, spiel, I don't know how to pronounce the word. And a little more about me, actually, a little more about KITE, not me. So KITE really helped me understand how to, you know, look for answers. So it's not really how, oh, I want this answer, please tell me right now. It's more of, I need to find the certain like hints or whatever to lead me to the answer. And Mr. Gupton actually does a really good job of this. He doesn't straight up go out and say, all right, this is what you do. Just put it in your program. It's gonna work every time. He'll say, here's one way you can do it, or here's a totally different way you can do it. Pick your poison, right? So it's really helped me understand how to explore the internet, and that's like really big in the job market, especially since a lot of the programs you're gonna get in comp sci or in engineering, blah, 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 is really ambiguous and vague. So you have to actually go out and look for the answers. And like being in KITE has really taught me how to use Google, Stack Overflow, you know, W3 schools, I think that's the link, you know, it's just exploring. It's really taught me how to do that. And that's actually helped me in research papers I've done in physics and a bunch of other stuff, because I had to research a topic and then actually conduct an experiment. But if I just had gone out and said, oh, tell me how to do this, 9 times out of 10 I would have failed, but I actually passed. So, you know, perks to that as well. Aside from that, the time management that Mr. Gupton was talking about, KITE is, I feel, a really, I'm not gonna say easy because that would be a lie, but it's very manageable. Every Sunday I have a soccer match I go to. I play not on a team, but kind of as a team. It's a weird thing, but basically I have the time to practice. I have the time to actually go to the match and recover from that and still be able to do the stuff alongside my other IB courses. IB is incredibly hard. Like, it's not hard as in the sense of it's difficult, it's hard in the sense of you get a lot of work and you have to learn how to time manage. KITE has really taught me how to time manage. All the comp sci projects that we get, Mr. Gupton gives us like a week or two to do it. He's like, here you go, you all got a 2-week span, I want it done. Same thing as a job field. You're gonna go, if you're going into comp sci, my brother's working at Fannie Mae, his lead says 2 weeks, I want this done. If it's not, you're gone. It's the same thing. It's really taught us a lot of good job opportunities.
I have not fired any students.
He has not fired, but he's gotten very close. I'm like, I'm walking on glass. But, you know, it teaches you a lot about the job, job field, job market, whatever you guys call it. And then it teaches you a lot of skills that you need in order to, 1, get through high school, 2, get through college, which is another task in of itself, and 3, be a better candidate for any job out there. No matter if you're going into comp sci, no matter if you're going into engineering or even medical, at the end of the day, time management is key. KITE teaches you this really well. It's actually helped me get nominated for the Earl Wood Scholar Program. I saw you, don't. But I couldn't do it because some stuff came up. But I got nominated. Questbridge was another thing. The KITE program really helped me with again PIQs and great. If I'm a comp sci major, right? So they want to see computer science or at least some type of STEM in there. KITE is a really good pathway. And yeah, that's about it. Did I miss anything, Mr. Gupton?
I think there's something at the bottom that Odin
Oh, yeah. So you guys can't see it, but it says down there, Odin project participant. The KITE program has, again, taught me the skills to, code. I know C#, Java, Python, SQL's a query language, but it's a language. But it's taught me a lot about that, and I actually used those skills over the summer to conduct the Odin project, which basically allowed me to use my laptop web camera as a spatial sensor. So if I were to put my middle finger and thumb together, it would open Google Chrome, right? And then if I put my ring finger and thumb together, it would open a different app. So it's to help those, it's 1, just a fun project to do because why not? And then 2, it helps those who aren't really that tech savvy just to open programs left and right or close, which is sick. That's really cool. And then from there, I got myself into Linux, which is a whole nother OS system that I haven't explored before. OS stands for operating system, if you guys didn't know. Right, and then
I was going to talk about time management for a second. I needed to.
Oh, yeah.
You were doing a rad job. I hate to cut you off, but you're doing fantastic. Okay. Can we give him a round of applause real quick? One of the things that I like that Omar, he said a lot of stuff that I really enjoyed, but one of the things I liked is how he talked about solving his own problems. I don't know about the parents out there, but I know with my kids, I have students of my own, and my goal for them is to understand how to find their own learning rather than come to me as a parent for everything. And I think most of us are that way. And that's one of the things that we try to aim for with all of our students. Yes, of course, I'm here to help you, but our objective is for you to understand how to help yourself. And I think Omar did a good job of describing that. So thank you, Omar. We're going to switch it up to Alex now. You ready to go? All right.
Do you mind giving me a 30-second heads up if you're going to switch over?
Yes. What I'm going to do is stand over and go like that.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Marasigan. I am currently a 12th grader, as is everyone else, and I have been involved with the KITE program since 7th grade. I've taken classes such as Essentials of Technology, Engineering 1, Engineering 2, and now I am currently in the IB Computer Science 2-year course. I've been able to learn how to +use stuff like OnShapes, HTML, CSS, Java, JavaScript, C#, C++. .NET framework. I may be missing a few, but it really, the KITE program really has taught me a lot of technical skills. But for me, my favorite thing about the KITE program is the amount of projects we are given. And there's two reasons for this. One, it's a very fun way to learn how to utilize all of these, on-shape, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. But also, like Mr. Gupton said earlier, it looks really good on portfolios. When I was in Engineering 1, I was given 2 projects to work on. I was given the opportunity to participate in the Sumo Bots challenge, where me and my group had to build this little bot to push other bots outside of this little ring. And the other challenge was the OC Maker challenge, where we had to create a unique invention and also pitch this invention to the challenge. For me and my group, we built a swear jar 2.0, which is funny. So because I built these projects, I was able to actually get into or gain more opportunities. I was able to land an internship at Anaheim Public Utilities through the AIM program. And I was also able to become a web design intern. I was able to design a website for the school district's esports program. And I was also selected to participate in this 2-week coding program with Code with Classy. And the common thing throughout my application was that I heavily focused on the projects I was able to build because of the KITE program. Another thing that the KITE program has been able to help me with was not only being able to build projects under the guidance of my teachers, within the class, but also outside of the class. So I remember I was in this Discord server. It was a social deduction game Discord server where we were, people were having, the admin was having problems with managing the game. So I looked online, I researched, I Googled online and saw that you can actually code a Discord bot using Python. And I knew, oh my gosh, wait, I learned Python in engineering. Maybe I've never tried building a Discord bot, but maybe I can give this one a go. And so I volunteered myself in this Discord server, and I built a Discord bot for the whole server, and it was successful. It made managing the game much more efficient. And another thing about the KITE program, it also inspired me to major in comp sci. I have applied to, I believe, every single UC except UC Merced, Stanford, Harvey Mudd, and Occidental. A tip for you people out there who are maybe in middle school or maybe a freshman, just starting high school, I advise you to take advantage of the AIM opportunities that you see. And yeah, that's it. We didn't go over time.
You did great. Awesome job. Thank you. All right. Next up is Richard, who joined us just this year.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Hi, do you guys hear me? Should I go closer or you guys, oh, everyone in the back, that's good? Okay. So my name is Richard Tran and I am currently a senior at Kennedy High School. For some context, I recently transferred here from Norwalk High School this past summer. So I've been in this KITE program for about 1 semester now, and the courses that I've taken from the KITE program are the IB Computer Science SL, as well as the App Development course. So before I get into all the things that I've done within the KITE program, some things that I did before I transferred include being an administrative assistant at the Norwalk City Hall Finance Department. And additionally, I was the president, treasurer, and secretary of a couple clubs in my previous school. And I've also taken over 25 college courses as well. So I have quite a bit of experience in college courses. And now, within the app development course as well as the IB comp sci, essentially I've made a couple web apps. One of them is Rate My Classes, which essentially allows high schoolers to post their experience about the classes that they have taken up online and share with other students, so other students who may not know the teacher as well or the class material have a better idea from other peers within their school in regards to difficulty or material that they have or any advice. Although I'm not completely finished, I am currently in the works of that. As another program that I'm working on is called PillPal, which is a medicine tracker, and my client is actually my mom because she was born premature. So having this ability to create or help my mom track her pills that she uses very often is very essential, especially in her daily life where it's extremely hectic. And my other achievements include being third place at the inaugural AI Promptathon. As touched upon by my colleagues earlier, the AI Promptathon is essentially a competition where we feed an AI chat box prompts that we want in order to get our desired output. And why that's so important is because it centers around the concept of prompt engineering. So as the world gets more advanced and AI becomes more integrated into our lives, it's really important to understand how to use it and use it well. So essentially, prompt engineering allows us to feed it prompts in order to get our desired output, because feeding it just one time would be too broad. As such, we would give it more prompts, more iterations in order to get more specific responses that we desire. And I'd like to move on to the KITE specifically and how it has helped me. Based on my experience from all my college courses that I've taken, KITE has really, please give me a second to think. So KITE has really mimicked that college level material extremely well. So, at the high school level, I've taken many computer science courses as well, but it has never replicated as well as a college class, because in a college class you learn a lot of information that goes beyond just the basic foundational knowledge, which is important. Although with KITE, it allows you to gain that real world experience, especially when it comes to getting a job or internship in the future. It is extremely important to know it or to learn it earlier in the process so your mind adapts to that environment, which is ever-changing since technology is always advancing. And I would also like to say that, oh yeah, and my plans after high school, I plan on going to Princeton University, and part of that I think really helps part of my application that I submitted. I talked about my transition from Norwalk High School to Kennedy High School, and part of it I talked about the KITE program, which really helped me in a time where it was really hard to transition. So the KITE program is extremely welcoming, and it allowed my ideas to flourish in an environment. For example, I've done a couple websites and programs, so being equipped with that kind of information will allow me to pursue my professional and academic career much more equipped, essentially. And I know that time is running out, so I'll pass this on to my next peer. Although if you have any more specific questions, please let me know later and we can talk in person as well. Yeah, thank you.
He's not trying to, yes. Richard, you have a question from the audience?
Yes, ma'am. $0. I got a full ride scholarship. Yeah, thank you so much.
I was just about to say he doesn't like to brag, but to throw that in. All right, awesome. Simone, you ready? All right, come on up.
This is going to be a tough one to follow, Princeton. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Simone Cañete, and I'm currently a senior in the IB program. And I'm in my second year in the KITE program as well. So I've taken IB Computer Science, and I'm currently in app development. And these classes help me gain like essential skills like what everyone else said here. Lots of industry skills, lots of technical skills that I think would help me in the future. And a current project that I'm working on that is actually my IB Computer Science IA is an assisted living check-in system because I realized how hard healthcare workers work because I'm from a family of nurses, healthcare workers, and care home owners. So I wanted to make the visitor check-in system to better ease the load off of the care home worker clerks. And that is my current progress, and I really hope to implement it in the near future. And these classes in the KITE program that I've learned from IB Computer Science and app development taught me Java, HTML, C#, and SQL. And I really didn't know what programming meant to me before, or what computer science meant to me before, because I didn't know what I wanted to be. So learning, like being in this KITE program really opened my horizons and realized what I wanted to do in the future, which is to follow the footsteps of my dad, which is to be a programmer or somewhere in the computer science realm. And being in the KITE program also helped me realize how these skills, you could really implement it in the workforce, because my dad is also learning C# right beside me, so we're actually working hand in hand and teaching each other new things. And linking this to my school life, juggling the IB program and the rest of my clubs, since I'm actually officers in multiple clubs, like Kababayan, Link Crew, and the IB Connections crew, and like Omar, I'm also in NHS. Juggling all of this alongside the KITE program helped me with my time management skills, and the KITE program is truly easy to handle, and because of Mr. Gupton, it's really flexible as well, but I still know how to handle my deadlines and keep my GPA up, which is something I know a lot of parents worry about, whether their children will be focused more on extracurriculars and their electives over their essential classes like math and science. For me, that was easy to cope with. And my plans after high school is I actually want to be in the computer science major. So I applied to lots of UCs and Cal States, and I've gotten into some so far, whatever's come out, which is, I don't really want to share that, but yeah. And I really think the KITE program was really useful for me, and I think this was a great experience. And I would encourage you guys to join, because one thing that I've taken from my 3 years in Kennedy High School was that the KITE program was really fulfilling, and I'm very satisfied. So yeah.
All right, last but not least is Mr. Brett Dolman, who's been with us for quite a while. We'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah. So yes, I'm Brett Dolman. I'm a senior here at Kennedy High School like the rest of them, and I've been in the KITE program for 6 years, 6 consecutive years. Since I started in 7th grade, I took the half-year class with multimedia, and then went to engineering, so that's where I started off. And then I followed the path he described earlier. I'm not an IB, so I didn't do the IB computer science, but I followed the path he went through earlier. I went from obviously that half-year class, then to the next year taking engineering 1, and then once I came to Kennedy, I had engineering 2 of Mr. Hoff right there. It was a great year. And then went to AP computer science, and not to brag, but I did get a 5 on that test, which is, so the classes, if you're interested in computer science, it's a good class to take. I got through it. And then, like where many of them are right now, I did app development last year. I was one of a few juniors in that class. And I have the pleasure to be the first student in Kennedy history to take the new KITE capstone class, which is, I think the best way to describe it is really an extension of the app development class that we have last year, where I've taken everything I learned there, and now I'm expanding on it, making more personal projects, building a portfolio for one day to see that, jobs and colleges, I know my stuff. These are reasons you should hire me, you should accept me to be at your college. So that's basically my journey through the KITE program. Before I touch on my other stuff at Kennedy here, I'll just talk about my current project. I'm currently making a road assistance for new drivers, because I've noticed, within our generation, a lot of my friends are not very good at driving, and they don't know their way around the streets. So my goal essentially is to take Google Maps APIs, which is simply I'm just taking Google Maps and putting into my own code and project to create routes around your city, so you can, learn it better, like, taking you to parts you don't really see that often, that you don't travel going to school or to the store. So just in case for that one day that you do have to travel down that street, you already know it. So it just really helps people learn their city better. So for Kennedy, I've been an athlete for 4 years. I was in football all 4 years, so I've dedicated hours every day after school, the entire school year. Then I'm all honors AP. I've taken every AP class offered to me, and all honors. So I gave myself a pretty nice workload. And then on top of that, last year I have also got a job working as a host. So I really filled up my schedule through high school, and left. I still find time for free time, but if you have any questions afterwards about how I manage my time, feel free to ask, because I do, and like many other people up here, we do throw a lot on our tables a lot on our table? I don't know. Yeah. A lot on our plate, that's it, to handle for the days. So there it is for y'all. Yeah, so I've taken every class offered except for IB computer science, except for the fabrication classes, although I wish I could have taken those. I know many people in them, and that's kind of also where I'm going to go into with my major, which is mechanical engineering. Those 2 classes are something I wish I did, and I also got a big taste of taking engineering 1, engineering 2, so glad I got those. For the future, though, I'm applying to the generic UCs and Cal States for mechanical engineering. I've gotten a few acceptances back and a few good scholarships from those 2, so that's about it for me. I don't like to talk much.
All right, well done. Thank you, Brett. Oh, you didn't get a fist bump. Sorry, didn't mean to leave you out. So one of the things we want to offer is the ability for our parents to ask questions of students. Last year, again, it was in a smaller environment and was much easier, but we do have several microphones back there that maybe Mr. Hoff and maybe Ms. Albanalis, if you guys are able to take around. Is there anything you guys would like to ask any individual students? You need to go? Okay, yeah, all right, okay, cool. Where are we at? Oh, right back there, Ms. Albanalis, it might be closest. Oh, Mr. Hoff's on it. He's coming back.
Okay, somehow I've never pulled an all-nighter, so I don't. It's crazy. You can. It's possible.
Oh, yeah. You want to go? Sure.
Oh wait, did you want me to answer or?
Oh.
How many nights did you go without sleep?
Oh, okay.
I-
I got you. So I actually, it's hard for me to fall asleep, but for like not sleeping because of school, probably like maybe out of the 2 years I've been in kite, probably one or two, like only like it's, and that's only because I'm gonna be honest, I procrastinate. I'm a terrible student, but like, yeah, you see, yeah, my brother. Anyway, but like, yeah, that's the only reason.
Let me get the mic. Thank you. Okay, anybody else?
It's them.
Okay.
It's all time management.
I've never had to pull an all-nighter, and I will say, I think I've been very involved with a lot of the stuff on campus. I was actually president of 2 clubs last year, and I'm currently president of a club right now. I've never had to pull an all-nighter before. Thank you.
So like my colleague Omar said, I've had to pull maybe 1 or 2 all-nighters. Although I just came here to Kennedy, just from my track record at Kennedy, I have not pulled an all-nighter yet, thankfully. I think part of the reason why is that we have to realize each person only has 24 hours within a day. So how we use those hours are really important. Like for example, 8 of those hours might be going towards sleep, and the other 8 might be going towards school or work. And that really pushed me in order to know what to prioritize within my life. Like for example, what classes, I wouldn't say that all like classes weigh differently, but depending on your teacher, you may get a lighter workload for one, but a heavier one for another. So planning out your day is really important. And rather than just keeping it within your head, and I know that it's really hard to get into the habit of writing it down on an agenda, but really writing it down and keeping it right in front of you to visualize and how much time realistically it takes is extremely important. And I don't think I could have gone throughout my high school years without an agenda. And I know that that may be cliche or time consuming, but it does save a lot of time in the long run. And it really helps me to visualize like, yeah, that work, like every person has their own like speed at which they do certain tasks. So it's really important for you to get to know yourself and write it down and keep track of it and see your track record and improve from there.
I'd like to add something
Oh,
to that too. Obviously, students are always going to have these times when they procrastinate and potentially need to study later than normal. But I would say, as a whole, in our KITE program, the way Mr. Hutton and I set the classes, we don't give a task that they only have 24 hours to complete, or even 48. Because we are project-based learning, that's what we dedicate everything that we do to project-based learning and performance tasks. It's really, they'll have 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and we try and help them stay on those small tasks for them to complete. So if something else is in English is eating up a bunch of time, they just know, they figure out that for our class, they need to get the work done when they can. So when they're in class especially, it's time to get right to work.
Um, yeah, one more thing. Specifically on study, because the assignments, I feel like what Richard said, know your due dates. I always plan out days ahead, like, okay, I know that's due there, but you also go like, what do I have other from other classes? So you want to space out your assignments per night is the best thing to do. Like, it may not be due for a few days, but you know you have a bunch of assignments on your plate, and you don't. I wouldn't do them all in one night. That will get you burnt out. I like to space it out. But the other thing is for tests. It's kind of, I don't know if it's a bad piece of advice, but it is, if you're studying the night before and you're feeling like, oh my God, I don't know a lot of this material, you don't know the material. That is one thing through high school I think that really has helped me in the last 2 years is knowing I was too late to study for this test. It's too late. Like it's better to go to bed and get a good night's sleep rather than spend the whole night studying. So study days in ahead, not the night before, because you want a good sleep that night before.
Yeah, and I just wanted to share something I actually saw on social media. It's this quote that said, "It's better to study now or study sooner rather than regret studying earlier," if you understand what I mean.
So one of the things that I often find myself telling the kids to do also is sleep. Going all night, you're not going to perform well that next day for sure. You're going to be exhausted. The other thing I tell them to do is exercise. I know for me, like I'll sit at my desk for hours working, and then Miss Hilbanalas will get interrupted because she's trying to work, and I've decided to go for a walk. I need to get some exercise, and I'm like, I'm going to go see her and talk to her for a minute. I have to get up and move. To the point, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but it's okay. If I have a student who I can tell is drowsy and have a hard time focusing, I will tell them, go get my pass and take a walk around this building right now. Go out and move. Because if you sit all day long and you don't move, you're not productive. It's a lot better for you to work in chunks and move to something else and work in chunks. If you try to wait, of course, till the last minute, it usually burns you. But plan ahead, like they've said. Sleep well, eat well, and exercise. It will make a huge difference in your ability for your brain to work, I promise. All right, other questions? Got a handful. I'm glad to hear it. Is it not to want to look like me, I presume? Yes, sir. That's a great question. So we are pretty flexible in how our students can begin our program, and we do have different pathways, and we usually look at it on a case-by-case basis for each student, depending on the interest. So if you filled out the KITE application, you'll notice it asks questions about your student and what their interests are. So there's absolutely no prerequisite for our first level classes. They are all designed for somebody who's never seen or even heard of these things before. So that's not an issue. Coming into the school brand new as a freshman, they're going to be like absolutely everybody else. This is a new school, a new environment, and I know that having come from Walker, where a lot of the kids do come, a lot of kids come across the street from Walker to here. I saw kids that I would have in 7th and 8th grade, and they're very different people when they come here. So the groups that start at Walker don't always persist there. They're going to find new friends, they're going to make new relationships and grow. So if your concern is, you know, my student is coming from outside, I wouldn't worry about that at all. This is an incredibly welcoming environment, but certainly from a skill standpoint, I wouldn't worry about that either. Absolutely not. Yeah, we absolutely can. Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah. So, like I told you, I came from not Walker. I came from another school. I didn't take a single computer science course over there because it wasn't offered over there. I didn't even know like any languages. And then when I came here and joined KITE, Mr. Gupton really helped me learn the Java and the C# and the SQL. Like he was really welcoming, and I didn't have any like at all any information, any skills in it, and I learned almost everything I need to get a job right now. Like there's a person I know who's working at KITE because she took the app development class here. So that's like it's a really good opportunity. I just wanted to add that.
Yep. I think probably would be Alex and Brett would be the ones to answer that, right? Because you guys have had both of them. You guys want to both opine?
So engineering pathway, you mean like engineering 1 and engineering 2, correct? Yes. You know, it was weird for me because those were my COVID years, so it was kind of thrown off for me because I was 8th grade, I was at home the whole year, and then 9th, which was my engineering 1 year, and then 9th grade was my engineering 2 year. But from what I had to guess from seeing future in the program, engineering 1 really, you know, helps establish a foundation for you in engineering, and not even engineering, but moving forward into into computer science and then into app dev, because it's the starting point for coding, I'd say. It teaches you the basic, like the structure, how you have to do it. You know, maybe not the same principles as making apps or like what we do in using JavaScripts, but you know, it sets the baseline for helping you learn how to code. So.
Hi. From my experience, I believe that Engineering 2 was actually the most helpful because of the projects I was able to do during my time in Engineering 2, so the SumoBot and OC Maker. I feel like that has been really helpful for me for getting those paid internships like I mentioned before, but yeah.
I would just say that it's probably dependent on each individual as well. You're going to get different experiences as an individual and in each of those classes. So I think that each person is going to have their own experience. You're in Engineering 1 now, or? Okay, great. Mr. Tagahara is fantastic. And like I said, I was incredibly impressed with what I saw you guys doing on Saturday. So, another question, sorry. Did you take IB Fusion, the Fusion class? Oh. I'm going to say maybe. That's a great question. Yeah, IB and AppDev we've made work. Fusion is brand new. Literally, this is the first year doing it. And so I'll let Ms. Hilbenhaus.
So what I'll say is for our IB diploma candidate students, the IB coordinator hand schedules their classes and sits in on the master schedule building process in order to allow IB students the access and opportunity to take the courses that they want to take. There are some times where choices have to be made. It's not always possible, but every effort is made to ensure that students are able to do IB, KITE, band, for example, or CL. Every effort is made.
I'll throw on there that we work really hard to find opportunities to make things happen for students as well. And so one of the things you'll notice about KITE is we are not entirely rigid about, like what we describe as different options, but we do look for opportunities where they make sense, and it really would be student dependent based on what they're trying to accomplish and what they have accomplished to try and make that fit. But if you'd like to stick around afterwards, I'd love to talk to you more about where your student is right now and where you're trying to go through to see if we can kind of noodle something out. Did I see a hand in the back? There we go.
We need that one to be the last open Q&A question just because of time.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question. So I'm playing football in my freshman year right now, and I would like to continue football, like during all of my years in the future, and also like to engineering. So what should I do?
I'm gonna just walk over to my friend Brett.
Okay, so you want to do both, all 4 years, you're saying? Well, I mean, yeah.
Are you in Engineering 1 now?
Yes. As a freshman, correct? Oh, okay.
No, as a freshman or now? Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. So I was like, I'm guessing that's about schedule. If you should, so as of now, for the next year, I know that PE is required the first 2 years, so it's just having those 2 spots is just immediately football, and then you just need 1 extra elective period for next year, and I don't know, that might be your question about like you may not have space for it. Is that, or is it like?
Can I?
Yeah, tap in.
Is that what you're looking for as to whether or not you can make it work in terms of your schedule? And is that, I'm sorry, Mr. Hoff, are you still, oh, you're up here. So I'm only able to hear a part of what you said, but I know, and Ms. Hilbenhaus, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but there have been, I'm going to assume part of your question is related to making it work in the schedule. And this actually applies to a lot of the students in the room. So the district has been working very diligently to open up student schedules specifically so that we can get you into these types of classes. And so there's a variety of options, including taking certain classes over the summer, taking things online to open up your schedule during the day so that you can still play football and still be in KITE. Did that answer your question? Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, very possible. You just need to make sure you're communicating with your counselor now during this registration time to let your counselor know what your goals are.
Yep. And is this a student of yours, Mr. Hoff? So we can talk a little bit more about some of those options with Mr. Hoff as well. Okay? All right, so I'm happy to stick around, and I assume, are you guys okay to stick around? So if you'd like to come up and speak with any of the folks up here, speak with Mr. Hoff, we'd love to talk to you. But we want to thank you guys again for coming out tonight. We really appreciate you, and we really look forward to having you here at Kennedy and in the KITE program. All right, thank you. All right, we should put music back on, Mr. Hoff.